This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts, Alex and Rayven Greer.
Hi, I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns. And today I'm smoking on Sour Papaya Flower by Kind Tree.
Hi, my name's Rayven. I go with she, her pronouns, and I am smoking on Cresco's Pineapple Express. And this is...
Smoking Out the Closet. Welcome back, guys.
How's it going? I don't know why I asked that, like they could respond like we can hear them, but if
it's
you
like
did...
one of those those TV shows you watch as a kid. What color is this?
Oh, like Dora?
Blue. Very good. Yeah, something like that.
So on last week's episode, we started to talk about Delta 8 THC, and I wanted to know what that was.
And we did a little bit more research.
So not sure what you found, but these are the notes I got from the FDA's website. Delta 8 THC is a psychoactive substance found in cannabis stevia plant, of which marijuana and hemp are two varieties of. Delta 8 THC is one of over 100 cannabinoids found naturally in the cannabis plant. So I'm guessing Delta 9, which is the one we normally smoke, is another cannabinoid.
Yeah. So
I'm wondering how many THCs there are.
If I had to take a guess, a lot. At least 9, because there are 9. It's called like Delta 9 is called Delta 9 because I actually got a bit of information here from one of the articles I was reading. There's a double bond between some of the atoms on that chain, that carbon chain. So a Delta 8, that double bond that they think is what makes that psychoactive reaction in your brain. On Delta 8, that's at the 8th carbon. At Delta 9, that's at the 9th carbon. So it's basically just the structure of where that double bond is and where it can be received in your brain, which is why Delta 8, because it's shifted over that one carbon, is not nearly as potent as Delta 9 THC. Fun fact.
So we were kind of close in our guess.
Yeah, we were pretty close. There's at least 9. So probably. That's if that double bond can be on each one of those carbon atoms.
Also, if you hear some rustling in the background, like I said in the last episode, our cats do play with each other. And right now they're in one of their wrestling moods.
Not to boast or anything, but, like, science was my thing in school. Like, I was in advanced place science and, like, aced all the tests. So, like, that was my thing.
Oh, is that what AP stood for?
Yeah, advanced placement.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like you have AP English class. Those are the people who do really well in regular English, and they just put them in the more advanced English class.
So, another thing I found on which was another guess that we actually guessed correctly. It's typically found and manufactured from hemp-derived CBD.
Yeah.
Now this is where the FDA, I actually think the way they wrote this article was not bad. They warned that it could be potentially bad for you as it is hemp-derived. So in states that are selling it, like take California for example, marijuana is heavily regulated, so they can't have certain pesticides. They can't have any certain fungicides like tobacco products. But hemp isn't, because usually hemp's grown for like rope and textile materials, so it's not heavily scrutinized for ingestion and inhalation. So the FDA does warn it does have a potential, because it's not regulated by the federal government or any state government at the time the article was written, that it could be potentially harmful due to the pesticides and fungicides they might use on these plants. And I think that's a fair warning.
Yeah. I see, I don't know. It kind of gives me a little bit of fear-mongering vibe. Just a little. Not a lot, but a little.
Does, but
the wording of it.
True, but that's also how I wrote it. Because I do like little like shorthand stuff. The thing is they were talking about is because it's not under inspection.
Yeah.
it's essentially like growing strawberries and not having the FDA inspect it. So, you know, we get like recalls on certain things. Sometimes it's not from like E. coli or certain, you know, bacteria growth. Sometimes it's for the pesticides on them.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the warning they're giving people is it's not ensured that it's safe.
Yeah.
So you're taking a gamble.
Yeah, basically. That kind of leads into something that I had found. I had read an article by Leafly. I love those people over there. They do some pretty great work. And this was on like Delta 9, THC, and, you know, Delta 8. What's the difference? Like, what even is this? And it goes into like the 2018 Farm Bill is what it stated. And it is as it states. It was in the year 2018. They made this basically a law stated that covered like the hemp farmers, so they could sell their product, they can do whatever with it. And hemp is defined in that law as all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers, whether growing or not, so plants or product, with Delta 9 THC concentration of no more than 0.3%. That's what you're legally allowed to sell.
Okay.
So that comes into effect then whenever people are like, okay, well, we're going to allow CBD sales in our state. That CBD is derived from hemp plant. So legally it's allowed to have that up to 0.3% THC. Because that Delta 9 THC is specifically stated as what's illegal. So when these people are taking these, this Delta 8 that's usually found in hemp plant, technically it's legal, technically it's not. Like, on paper it's legal, but if it comes down to it, you're probably going to get busted for it. Because some states, like, that whenever they started making their own weed laws within the state, decided whether to adopt this specific language for this law or not for the state. Mm-hmm. Which is what I find kind of weird, but like understandable because it fits into your bill of whatever you're trying to pass for legalization.
Now, here's the thing that I think is also going to be really weird with it is cops can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same as marijuana, like Delta 9 THC carrying cannabis.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no way cops are going to be able to tell the difference between, like, the stuff we get out of the dispensary and the stuff, like, the gas stations are selling.
Perfect example. I have this CBD flower sitting here on the table that I'm going to throw away. I promise you it's disgusting. I've had it for too long. I got it before I got my card, like a week before, because I was impatient. And it's a CBD hemp flower. It's grown in Denver, Colorado. Hi, friends in Colorado. Hi, friends in Colorado.
Hey.
Anyway, but like,
that's what we should have called our Skittles. Our hi friends.
Our hi friends.
Oh, that would have been cool. If there's another podcast that's doing like a weed shout out thing, you can use hi friends.
Use hi friends. If it's not already taken, use it. Because we didn't take it. We missed that train. It left the station. Anyway, this hemp flower that I have sitting here, it's just CBD. And it looks, before it went disgusting, because I didn't smoke it much, but it looks just like regular flower. You can't tell the difference. Other than this looks like some kind of low-grade street stuff, which even more sketch, simply because low-grade street stuff, that's, you know, it to the trained eye, the dispensary weed looks different, but it's a cop, so he's gonna be like, hey, you got pot, you know, you busted.
Insert the song from Phineas and Ferb, yeah, busted. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the FDA side. I mean, they do explain that some companies are increasing it with like the THC potency with using synthetics, and I'm like, it's kind of sketching me out, but I think it's so people are aware that like K2 was a thing.
K2 is still a decent.
Is it still a decent issue?
A decent issue. Like within the past, I'll say I've heard of it, and it's been popular within about the last 6 years. That's recent. That's college campus recent.
Yeah, it is.
Like my story I told, I think, last episode about those kids getting K2. That was 2015.
Damn.
The fall of 2015. But yeah, it does lead into that. Hey, K2's a thing. Are we gonna have this problem again?
Yeah. So I think they were just being on the safe side.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about Delta 8 you've seen or wanted to talk about?
Just basically, Leafly went into a little bit of discussion because they're a very high education site of, hey, if you do get your hands on some of this, like legally, if it's regulated where you live, what are the effects of it? Well, it's similar to Delta 9 THC. Obviously, it's not going to be as potent because those cannabinoid receptors don't really kind of match up as well as what it does with the Delta 9. It's going to give you about the same list of effects, same list of symptoms. You might get hungry, dry eyes, dry mouth, all that fun stuff nobody likes. But then the fun stuff of euphoria, happiness, uplifting feelings, pain relief, insomnia, all that happy stuff, actually happy stuff. But yeah, it's just basically much less potent, kind of warning against the laws about it, kind of look into stuff. They even had a little disclaimer at the bottom, like, hey, if you're buying this stuff in some unregulated shop, please don't, because it can be dangerous.
Yeah, that's why I was very sketched out with, like, some of the gas station stuff.
And I'm really glad I didn't buy that stuff.
From that smoke shop?
Yeah, from that smoke shop. Not naming any names. We know where it was. But, like, look, no, that didn't sit well with me. Especially through the middle of pandemic and you're asking me to hit your vape, bro. No.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need COVID. I have a mask on. Did you not notice me walking to your store with a mask on? I'd prefer to keep that on, thanks.
So next subject, because kind of at first, when I first heard about this, I was kind of sketched out by it. So you know how celebrities do endorsements for things. Some things that they think are just quick cash grabs, and they let the whole thing flop because they got their money and left,
Mm-hmm.
or that they actually truly believe in this product and they support it.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of celebrities doing that with cannabis as well lately, and some of them have really not been good products from reviews I've seen online because we can't get them here.
Yeah.
They're mostly in California.
Of course.
But Justin Bieber has partnered with Palms to create the Peaches pre-roll line, and I was a little sketched out at first. Until I read more of the article from the Rolling Stones. A portion of the proceeds actually go to certain charity event programs. Two of the major ones are the Veterans Walk and Talk and the Last Prisoner Project.
Nice.
So I am fully supportive of this. I don't like Justin Bieber.
I don't either.
At all. Like, when he first came out to now, I never liked him.
I don't like him either.
But I don't have to like him.
I don't have to like his work to not let, you can like what he's doing as a person, because, this is pretty cool.
I do think this is cool. And so, for those of you who don't know, Veterans Walk and Talk is an advocacy group to try to get veterans to be able to use cannabis to help with certain things like injuries and PTSD. Now, both my parents are veterans. Like, they're both disabled vets. And while I did serve, I don't have, like, disabled veterans. I don't get anything for the VA or anything like that.
And weren't we talking for the longest time, like, with your mom? She was debating getting her card, but there was some stuff with the VA, and they would kind of...
Yes. So that's part of the reason why I want to bring her onto this podcast to talk as a person who is a veteran.
Listen, I know your mom listens to this, and I can't wait. Lindsay, I know you're listening. I can't wait to come to your house for, like, Thanksgiving or, like, hopefully sooner, and we'll all enjoy our green cards together.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm so excited for that. Also excited to have you on the podcast. I love your mom. She's an amazing human being.
She really is. She's the coolest mom. But the thing is, like, I need to know, like, the logistics of it, because there's a lot of veterans who lose most or all of their benefits once they get their medical marijuana card. And that sucks.
That's very unfortunate.
Because they live off those funds for some of them,
That irks me. It's the same thing of, like, whenever there's a really big problem with vets coming home and being homeless and jobless. And, like, it's like, oh, hey, we're going to put you through the ringer for our country, all right? I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second. We're going to put you through the ringer for our country, right? We're going to, like, physically push your body to the limits, possibly break it, but we're not going to take responsibility for it. And then we're going to emotionally and mentally scar you for life. And then guess what? You served your however many, tours you wanted to go on. There's the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out. Thanks for coming in by. Next. It's sad. They're treated like plastic army men instead of real people. And they get put back out into the civilian world and they don't, what do they do? It's so sad.
It is. As someone who's gone through it, it is.
Stepping down from my soapbox now, thank you.
You're welcome. But the other one, the Last Prisoner Project, is a really big one that a lot of different people support that I follow online and like talk to. The Last Prisoner Project is a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to cannabis criminal justice. Now that does sound bad at first, because automatically a lot of people's thoughts are going to go to locking people up, right? No, they're actually the opposite. They're the people that are trying to get people who are incarcerated or convicted by marijuana laws to get out of jail. Like that woman that got contempt of court that we talked about in an earlier episode.
Yeah.
If she was in jail, they probably would have been one of the people that would have helped her.
Oh, nice.
They typically, from my understanding, they typically work with people who are like long-term incarcerations.
Yeah.
But they have this program where you can like write letters to people inside, and they like tell you what things to get past the scans. Like you can't make it out of certain materials, you can't have like stickers on it. You have to like use certain language because they do read these letters.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because they're trying to like, especially in like states like California where it's legal, there are still people that are locked up for old cannabis laws. And while California is trying, it's a very long process to expunge a lot of the records. Because I think in one county they had like... It's going to be like a couple tens of thousands of people in jail.
Wow.
Like, it's at least like... I think they said it was like 14,000 people that can get the records expunged just in like LA County.
The heck?
Yeah, it's real bad. So, I mean, that we have, like, programs like this that are, like, actually out there, I think is really cool. And to see someone who is using his fame to push a product that supports these, I think is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
Do you have anything else?
On the weed side of things, no. That was... I did some research for the Delta 8. I knew you had something you wanted to share with me. I thought that would be pretty cool to talk about. I didn't do a whole lot of other research, though, on the weed side.
That's
I do
fine.
have an LGBT article that I think we both stumbled across.
Yeah, go ahead, share it.
So I found this. I don't know where you found your whenever you saw it, but I found it on PennLive.com. It's basically news in Pennsylvania. Fun and exciting. Not usually. But it said new historical markers at Harrisburg Capitol Complex will honor Central PA LGBT activist. And like, just that headline caught me. I was like, I have to read this. Like, it wasn't super long ago this was published. This was on the 9th. So as of recording this yesterday, it would have been Saturday. But it was like, that's pretty cool. Because I thought that, like, you know, we were kind of late to the party legalizing marriage, I felt like. But even small steps, like, it talks a little bit about, like, the governor for a bit who was helping pass some really early progressive LGBTQ laws in Pennsylvania. And I was going to read a couple excerpts out of it.
Hang on, I gotta get up real quick.
Okay.
We're back. We had to pause for a little bit.
Collect my shit here. Okay. So as I was saying, His article, I just really had to look at this because of that title. And because I thought that, Pennsylvania was a little bit late to the party legalizing gay marriage, but apparently there were some pretty big steps being made, like, back in the, like, I want to say it was the 70s? Yeah, the early 70s. Whenever Milton J. Shop and his administration started, doing a lot of policy decisions for LGBTQ people at the time, which is very early and significant as a whole as a nation, like at that point, which was statewide legislation banning workplace discrimination for LGBTQ people. It was not politically possible in the 70s, so there remains no statewide protections for LGBTQ people in the workplace from discrimination to this day, but he did create an executive order forbidding such discrimination amongst state employees. So, like, on the state level, you can't discriminate based on that, which is pretty awesome. And, like, early 70s. We're talking early 70s.
Yeah.
Like, that was early.
That was just, like, on the cusp of race being added on, like, was it Title VII?
Yeah. And then the other marker is going to be placed for Richard, I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Schlegel? Schlegel. Schlegel. He was a gay rights activist who lived on State Street in Harrisburg. He was fired from a federal job in Washington, D.C. for being gay during the Lavender Scare of the 1950s. He was this is the shittiest part of the whole damn thing. He was going to get a really high-level promotion and, like, pay raise and everything. They decided to do some snooping in his personal life, to make sure that the promotion wouldn't affect the business, and found out he was gay and fired him instead.
Great.
So,
love it.
Yeah, and at the time there were no protections for gay people around their jobs. President Eisenhower at the time actually had issued an executive order which basically outlawed all homosexuals from a federal employment.
And that's right. Yeah, because because I was thinking, well, wait, I was in the military, and then I was like, oh yeah, A, this was before I transitioned, and B, I joined literally the year Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Mm-hmm.
I signed the paperwork
to
enlist. Didn't even remember, like, I thought about that, and so I was like, because I was just open about it, and they're like, good thing Don't Ask, Don't Tell is not a thing anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I'm in the first generation of sailors that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is in. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't the first group, part of any of the first groups, because I think it was done earlier that year, before I enlisted.
Yeah.
Because I enlisted and, like, went to basic in the summer of 2013, but I was still a part of that first year that, like, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was repealed and in effect. But the thing is that's sad, and I feel like a lot of people are trying to get the LGBT community back into that.
Going back to the article, he didn't take the sitting down, which is what made him, like, the great social activist he was. He decided to file a lawsuit, and the guy reporting on the article, he said that while those lawsuits were unsuccessful, they were useful to future generations. The arguments he presented in his briefs were also considered important, and instrumental in future cases that were argued to the Supreme Court for job discrimination, specifically gay job discrimination. And then his case became instrumental in future cases. So basically it was the cornerstone for everything going forward.
Yeah, it really is, because I've been listening to this podcast called Legal. It's L-E... Basically, it's legal, but the G is capitalized in the middle of the word.
Yeah.
They're a pro-LGBT law bar, which is, for those of you who don't know, is basically an organization that lawyers work with and for, and basically is like, this is what I stand for kind of thing, from my understanding. I wish one of our friends who is actually trying to become a lawyer could talk to us about that, because I'm not fully sure what a bar is. That's just from the context of the podcast I listen to.
Yeah.
But it's really cool because they actually talk about all the Supreme Courts and all the different levels of the Supreme Court that there are certain LGBT cases on. And so they talk about stuff like this, and they go back to older cases and be like, go because of this happened, and because the Supreme Court said, yes, this is job discrimination. You can't have this effect with this trial. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
They actually give the full history. Like, right now they were talking about places like in Texas where they're trying to get all employees that are hired for religious organizations to have that ministry effect or clause. And so they become ministry employed. Excuse me. Getting real bad dry mouth right now from this weed.
This one I forgot it does this too. Maybe I shouldn't have picked this one for the podcast.
I need a drink. Hang on.
All you fellow stoners out there know the pain of dry mouth. If you don't, I envy you.
But basically, so there's a lot of places that are doing that, so that when people come out as gay, they can just be like, you're fired. Because if you're a ministry employment, they have that ministry exempt. So you're doing religious services, you're connected in some way to the religious services.
Yeah.
They can fire you based on religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're, say, a lawyer for an organization that just happens to be Christian, there's some places, like there was one case where he sued because he was openly bisexual, and they fired him for it. And the court was like, no, you can't, because he wasn't part of the ministry services. He was just basically hired on for legal counsel to do the things you do.
Yeah.
That's not covered. So that's why companies in a lot of places in Texas have been setting up these wordings for the job description to have something connected to religious services. Now, here's one thing, while we're still on the topic of LGBT stuff, not to be more of a Debbie Downer, because that went down. Sorry. I wanted to talk about one thing that is very connected to the LGBT, potentially the LGBT community, and some of the communities in the cannabis world. Polyamory. Something that you and me are really deeply involved with.
Yeah. Also, now's the time that I say, Mom and Dad, if you see this podcast, you probably won't, but there you go. I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
Woo!
Are you sure that's it?
Listen, they have no idea we have a podcast. They have no idea how to find it. Bob doesn't even know how to work the dang computer half the time. Excuse me. I'm not going to fix this damn thing. It's not working.
Yeah.
My Bob impression. People who know him can tell me how well it is. It's spot on. Anyway, but yeah. I don't give a crap. They're not going to be able to find it.
Okay, well, so over the last couple of years, a lot of people have been trying to add the polyamorous community, the non-monogamous community, the ethical non-monogamous community, whatever title you would like to use for it, want to add them to the LGBTQIA plus community. And some of the people in the community, some people say no, because polyamory is not inherently queer or gender identity based.
Yeah.
So it's not a sexual orientation or gender identity. It's just a relationship style.
Yeah.
Some people said it should, because predominantly a lot of, it is a more... Ooh, excuse me. Didn't mean to burp in that one.
Had a Rick moment.
Really did. That because a lot of the people who are in polyamorous relationships are queer in one facet or another, there's the stereotypical structure is a man and 2 women in a polytriad because, you know, the girls are bi and want to date each other, but he's the only, you know, guy in the relationship. That's a stereotypical one.
Yeah.
Now, there are ones where it's the flip side, where it's 1 woman and 2 men, and the men are, you know, into each other as well. Then there's, like, all queer, like men or women or non-binary people. There's some that are just totally weird structures like we used to have.
Like, what would we call it? Polyanarchy.
Relationship anarchy.
Relationship anarchy.
But we typically go with, we're not as much relationship anarchy, because relationship anarchy is more of, you just don't tell anybody, you just kind of do whatever.
Oh, that's what that is.
That's the more true definition from my understanding. We would talk to each other like, hey, I'm interested in this person. We might pursue further. It might just be a new friend. Who knows, you know?
Yeah.
What I think we're more like is kitchen table polyamory, which is you can sit down with your partner's partners, your metamors, in a setting where you can like sit down and have a decent meal and be all civil. I have a flip side to it, which I was telling this person I was interested in online the other day. I don't want to call it a kitchen table polyamory. I want to call it the D&D polyamory, because I want to have the entire polycule sit together and play a freaking campaign of D&D.
You just told our biggest secret. The key to polyamory is having enough people for a successful D&D campaign, all under the same roof.
I mean, that would be nice.
Oh, that would be nice. Imagine how cheap rent would be if that many people lived in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
You need a lot of bathrooms.
Monogamy? In this economy? No, but, like, that's the thing is, like, a lot of people have been trying to get... It's been a big divide, right?
It's kind of... I feel like it's one of those chicken or egg situations. Which came first?
Yeah.
I feel like there's too much overlap there, though.
Yeah, and this is something we can get into, like, during Pride Month, that have, like, a special with it. Because a lot of people think at the Pride parades, people that are, like kinksters should not be at Pride, right?
It's in every Pride Month thing we have this discussion, I feel like.
Yeah, and the thing with kinksters is they are grandfathered into Pride because they were the leather community was very much a part of gay culture during the Stonewall era.
Yeah.
And a lot of the kinksters fought with the LGBT community because they were also suppressed because of their lifestyle. And so a lot of the people who were in the older leather communities actually stood up and marched with some of the first prides and participated in in the riots that followed Stonewall, or even at Stonewall, whether they were gay or not.
Yeah.
So they have more than the right to be at Pride.
Yes.
Now, we can go further into that during a Pride Month special or something.
Absolutely.
But then comes the question of polyamory, because there were people back then who were also having multiple lovers, multiple partners. And
the hippies and free love and all that, you know?
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, do poly people belong to Pride? I personally think so. You know, especially when they're, you know, in the alphabet mafia, as some people like to call us.
Yeah. I mean, inadvertently, you're going to, I feel like, have polyamory at Pride, because it'll be like, oh, hey, somebody who just might look like a group of friends, it might be, you know, a non-binary person and their 2 partners. Yeah. Or, you know, a trans woman and her 2 boyfriends. You never know. It's the same thing with, like, straight passing relationships, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you see the air quotes in the podcast here. But it's just assuming. It's looking for something at the outside and, like, taking what you think you see from it, not what it actually is. Yeah.
And now, you already pretty much brought up the weed side. You talked about the hippies.
And the free love.
And one love. Like, now, I don't know any that were involved with polyamory or ethical non-monogamy, but I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
Because I feel like back then they were more the part of the swinger culture.
Yeah.
But that in itself is quote unquote poly or ethical non-monogamy or something like that.
It's like ethical non-monogamy is the big umbrella.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
will
like,
put
polyamory.
I
is
will
the
put the
umbrella.
diagram, like the big diagram with all the monogamy and non-monogamy stuff on our Instagram.
Cool. Also, quick plug. Check our Instagram. We made edibles. They didn't turn out quite as great as they look, but...
Yeah, the recipe... Oh,
it's just...
we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun here.
It's okay. But, like, I feel like I would not be surprised if some, like, there's big communities of cannabis users who are polyamorous. I mean, heck, most of the ones I match with here in town... on like her, Tinder, Bumble, whatever, site I'm using. I got a lot of them.
Because now they all limit you for likes.
Yeah.
Rude. What if I want to find 3 partners in one night and you only give me 2 swipe rights? No.
Yeah, right?
Come on. Step up your game.
But, I'm not surprised because, like, a lot of them are, like, 420 friendly or come smoke, gust of wind emoji leaves spinning in the wind emoji, and I'm like, oh.
Or like you could be like your therapist, fire tree.
Oh yeah, my therapist that helped me get my
card,
and I told him I got it, and he just literally sends me the text, nice fire tree.
And I love her immediate response, which I think she was in the car with me.
Yeah,
at the time. You look at me and you're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, honey, that's what... Oh, that's weed. I'm like, yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't speak bottom.
You're just gonna expose me all over this podcast. That's what it is now, folks. It's not smoking out the closet anymore. It's exposed Alex. It's pull Alex out of the closet.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying you're a bottom. I'm just saying you know how to speak bottom. You just gave yourself away.
Oh my gosh. You're doing the thing again where you're making me do things.
I didn't mean to do that one on purpose.
It's okay.
No, but like I seriously cannot. I'm just starting to learn how people like text with just emojis. I don't freaking get it. Do you have any idea how long it took me to realize that eggplant peach squirting water meant sex? Don't laugh at me.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it took me too long. You want to know how long it took me?
Huh?
A year ago.
Is that why you don't text me back emojis?
Yes, I don't.
You don't know how to use emojis?
I know how to use emoticons.
Like the faces.
Yes.
Not like the inanimate objects.
Yes, I know how to use the faces and the, like that, and like I will literally text like emojis of something, and I'm going super literal with it. Like what do you want for dinner? And I would text sushi, pizza, hamburger. Where I would like, these are your options. I want sushi, I want pizza, or a hamburger. I am okay with any of these 3 choices. You pick.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not a combination for something dirty like eggplant peach.
You wouldn't know. You don't know how to use emojis.
I don't. But that's a joke in the LGBT community is if you speak emojis, guess what? You're a bottom.
Listen, do you want me to teach you real quick how I use emojis anyway?
Sure.
Okay, so faces, obviously, that's how you feel. Put it at the end or put it in the middle of a sentence, wherever, because, texting grammar is not a freaking thing. But, like, faces serve inflections after you say something, so it's not like, oh my gosh, you said that, are you mad at me?
Yeah.
So kind of clear that.
That I know how to use.
But, like, I'll usually use emojis to replace words in the middle of sentences. I don't know strings, combinations, the stars thing, that took me a while to figure out. It was a TikTok thing of you put a star in front and a star behind, and it was like depression with stars on both sides. It's like spicy depression. Like, I don't freaking know, it's spicy.
Spicy depression? You mean like the emo thing I used to do back in like MySpace era with the lowercase x, capital X, my name,
yes.
Capital X, lowercase x, lowercase x?
Yes, that thing.
Spicy depression.
Yeah, basically, but with the star emojis.
Okay.
It's glittery. Depression. I think that's how it's supposed to be said. It's like something happy that's not actually happy.
Oh, so the sarcastic happy inflection.
Basically, yeah, I think that's what that means.
Okay.
That's the conclusion I've come to.
But yeah, I can't remember where we're at
Where
now.
the fuck were we? I don't know if a tangent about emojis. I
Um,
went back. Okay, let's trace this back. I was talking about your therapist. Then we were talking about
weed, polyamory and weed.
polyamory and weed. That's where we started from. How the fuck did we get over there?
I don't know, man.
All right, whatever.
Well, that's part of the reason why we want to record this, like just to track our high thoughts.
Because we just.
Yeah, that's in every conversation, even when we're sober.
Yeah, it just goes a little bit farther out there.
I think that's the biggest thing. Did we talk about the weed side really? Not a whole lot, other than just
No.
like the hippie communities.
Yeah. I mean, because I feel like that probably was a thing. Like, just the kind of mindset that the hippies had of, like, just, just chill, man. You know?
Yeah, but I don't think it's more like a more common thing. If it, I think it died down with the newer generations coming in.
Yeah.
And I hope they're accepting.
Yeah.
I mean, at least everyone I've talked to. Like, I got a newbie at work, who, it's like his 5th day, but yesterday was the first day I ever met him. I'm like, who the heck are you?
I met, like, 3 people today. I was like, who are you? I only work there on the weekends, so, like, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
I'm the prep manager, so I work only mornings.
And in the back.
Yeah. So, he was talking today, and, like, we were just talking about stuff, and, like, I said I'm poly, and he's like, that's cool, man. Like, I respect that.
I've met a lot of people who are, like, our age, maybe a little bit younger, because, like, a couple of the people I used to work with, one of my previous jobs, they knew all my business. There was a decent amount of them that were a lot younger, and I had to be careful what I said around the minors, because, I didn't want to corrupt them, and, that's a whole thing. But, like, the ones that were chill, I was like, yeah, you don't repeat this, and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I was like, I remember drawing on the side of the warmer, like the heating cabinet, with a dry erase pen, our polyamory tree, and explaining the relationships between all of them. And listen, I was like in the front, and I had like the gif of that guy from The Office. What the hell is his name with his corkboard? And
okay, like, that's Charlie from It's Always Sunny with the cigarette and the red strings. That is Charlie from Always Sunny.
It shows you I've never watched that.
I never watched Always Sunny.
I never watched Always Sunny, and I don't like The Office. I said what I said. If anybody wants to fight me, go ahead. The Office sucks.
I could just hear our friend Malik just be like, them fighting words.
Them's fighting words. You know where I live. Come at me, Malik. Come on. We'll throw down podcast style. Pulled that out of my ass. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. We'll throw down podcast style, shit out each other each episode.
Ew.
Not literally shit on each other.
Okay, that's where my brain went.
You're high.
I am high. Shut up. Where was I going with that? What was I gonna say? Fuck.
Who knows? Put it in the book.
I'm forgetting something. What?
You were drawing our polycule.
Breathe. I was doing a TikTok sound, but yeah, our polycule.
Oh.
I was drawing our polycule, and like I had this little group of my night crew people because it was dead. It was just dead.
Yeah.
I think it was a football week, and everybody was at the game or something. Some shit. I don't know. It was dead. And like most of them, except for I want to say maybe like one person that was on my team, was younger than me, and everybody was just like, all right, whatever works for you. I don't know if I can do all that. And I'm like, well, I only take care of this part and like highlight the ones that I directly talk to and like which ones are actually my partners.
Yeah.
And they were like, how do you manage that? I'm like, Google Calendars.
And then you have me, who's like at one point dated 7 people at the same time, and I didn't use Google Calendars. I just memorized everything.
3 is about my cap. I've figured out, depending on the like intensity of the relationship. Or like the proximity to the person, I guess.
Yeah.
3's about my limit because like I've had you and when I had my girlfriend at the time, and then we had our triad at a time
with our shared boyfriend.
That was my cap for a bit, and then I was struggling at one point with that one ex. The reason I don't go to Barnes & Noble anymore.
Yeah.
That one, he was enough on himself. Like, I was so just burnt with him.
Yeah.
And then a past relationship, I was just burnt and just couldn't fucking function with anything at work or anything.
I don't know.
But, like, 3 people, I feel like, going back to my original statement. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant there.
It's okay.
My original statement, though, was, like, me and you, like, we're nesting partners. We're established. But then, like, 2 other people I probably would date outside of this, and that'll probably be about it.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I liked it when I was dating 7 people. I don't know if I would go that far just because how busy I am lately. Maybe 4.
Hell, if my schedule stays clear at this point, I could probably take on another 3 partners because, you know, my hours got cut again at one of my jobs, the fun one, the really fun one.
So that's all I had on topics for today, but we still got some time, so let's just keep going on with just stuff.
Alright.
I did have a discussion today at work that these kids, and I'm calling them kids, made me feel old. Now, I am the second oldest person at my job, at my store. The only person that's older than me is my boss, and he is literally like 5 to 6 months older than me. Like, he was born in, like, the tail end of 94, and I was born the beginning of 95.
Yeah.
So, like, well, I wouldn't say the beginning, but I was born early 95.
Yeah. First 3 months, that's early. It's
Yeah.
early in the year. First quarter of the year.
So, there's these people who are 19 that work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, like, oh, yeah, like, my first phone was, like, an iPhone 4. And I'm like, I was in middle school when the iPhone first came out.
Yeah,
He's
same.
It's like, what year was that? I was like, 2007. I was in 7th grade.
I was in elementary school still. But I remember when
See,
the first
you make
iPhone
me
came
feel
out.
old sometimes because you're like that.
I still remember when the first iPhone came out, though. And, like, I was talking to one of my coworkers today. She's born in 2000. She's like, yeah, I turned 21. We were talking about, you know, like, how her family's from California, her friends out there, her parents, you know, instead of, like, buying new liquor, her parents buy her freaking weed for her 21st birthday.
Dude, that would have been awesome.
One of her friends out in Cali. And, like, we were talking about how, like, I think it was her cousin or something, like, started his own weed business. I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't know. She talked a lot. She was one of the girls who usually works during the week, very high energy, very bubbly for very early in the morning. Not my cup of tea, basically what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, you're goth.
No, I'm not a morning person either. Oh my god,
True.
that's not a morning person. And don't talk to me before I get my coffee. You can, nobody else. But like,
I kiss you before you wake up, so I mean,
it's freaking adorable. She was talking about how she just turned 21, and I was like, I do like the slow rapid blink, and I'm like, I look at her and I'm like, you were born in 2000. She's like, yeah. I was like, ew. She's like, excuse me. I was like, no, don't take it personally. It makes me feel old. And I was talking about how I was married, and she's like, how old are you? And I was like, 24? Yeah, 24. She's like, you're not that old. And I'm like, I was born in 97. You were born in 2000. Stop it.
We're from different millennia.
Exactly. Don't you
You know what's really funny?
Huh?
We were born in the 1900s.
Yeah.
It's really weird to think about time.
We were born in the 20th century.
Yeah, dude, time.
Time.
Whoa, stoner brain. Hi, I'm back.
Time by Pink Floyd. Great song to listen to. Hi, I love that song. Just in general, it's a great song.
But, yeah, it just made me feel old because I remember I had like this, I can't remember what brand it was. It was just like a little slide up phone. It was maybe about as like, probably about like, I'd say 2 inches wide.
Yeah.
And then it would basically look like the old, like, just like the Nokia phones.
Yeah.
It might have been a Nokia, like a slide up Nokia.
Yeah.
But it literally just slid up. And then you had the Text-9 board.
You had a fancy phone. I had a brick. I was that kid. I had a brick phone. You know what brick phones are?
A burner phone?
Basically. The little brick, like your 9-pad was on the front.
Yeah.
You had the number lock it so you don't call anybody and waste your minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I had.
Well,
that was my first phone.
The only reason why I had that slide-up phone is because it was the first of a mini series of hand-me-downs from my parents.
And now you're on my plan. You get your own new phone.
I know.
Every 2 years. I'm not going to steal your upgrade.
I feel like an adult.
An adult. You're paying for your own phone. Proud of you. I had to do that when I was 16. Thanks, foster mom.
But like, and then after that...
Well, 18, sorry.
After that... No, my mom's probably going to listen to this and correct me. And Mom, I don't remember. I got the Razor after that, I think.
Oh,
I got the Motorola Razor and
those
like
cool kids.
A hot fuchsia pink.
Oh my gosh, the best color. That and the
right?
silver was right underneath it. That silver, it was nice.
I think we still have that Razor packed up somewhere.
That's great. That's a relic at this point.
I freaking love that because I just felt so cool just flipping it to answer phone calls and stuff. And then after that, I think I got my dad's first BlackBerry, then my mom's BlackBerry, and then I had that BlackBerry when I was in high school for sure. I don't think I got my first touchscreen until like right before, like I think I got my first touchscreen smartphone in like senior year of high school.
I got my first touchscreen smartphone. I want to say it was when I moved into care. It was, after they didn't think I was going to run away or steal shit or, whatever. But it was, I want to say it was the iPhone 4S was my first touchscreen phone. At that point, that was an old phone, too, because that's why I got it, because it was cheap.
Yeah. Well, of course, it's CYS. They're not going to give you,
CYS didn't even pay for it. My foster parents did.
Oh.
They were... I earned my enough trust to, have a phone.
Oh, okay.
But that was my first, my phone. Victoria gave me a phone, in high school. She was like, hey, this is my old phone. I was like, 2 months left on it if you want to use it. It has unlimited texting. And I was like, hot diggity unlimited texting. I'm going to use this until it runs out. And just texted my friends from that phone for 4 days over a weekend. I can't remember what the hell that phone was either. Some weird square looking thing. It was no bigger than I want to say when you take a picture, a square picture on your phone, how there's 3 blocks and 3 blocks. It was no bigger than that. It was maybe 3 inches tall and 3 inches across, square. It was a square phone. It was
weird. How did we get the phone? Hang on a second.
We were talking about technology and how our coworkers made us feel old.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she was talking about how, her first phone was, I don't know what you said, an iPhone 4S. Yeah. And that's how we got on this tangent.
Okay. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. I know we said we would just kind of free flow for a little bit.
We did just go free flow. We're talking about phones. It was okay. I was ranting about smoke detectors before we started recording the podcast.
I want us to still get towards an hour, so if we have a little extra time left, I just figured we just, shoot the shit and talk and catch up, because
ramble.
Sometimes I don't get to see you a whole lot, because, some days at your one job, you're closing.
Yeah, I'm there till 9:30, and then you were like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta get up really early in the morning, and I'm like, boo-boo. I don't even get to see you. I get to kiss you goodnight. That's when I get to see you.
Yeah. So.
Or you sit half asleep with me at the table, bless your heart, while I try to eat my dinner, and you're nodding off in your chair.
I mean, kind of like how I am right now.
Yeah.
This is very late for me. We're recording. It is currently
almost 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday after we just worked our jobs for 8 hours apiece.
And I normally go to bed at 9 because I'm an old lady.
This is past your bedtime, young lady. Well, we still gotta shout out our Skittles.
Yes, we
bring
still
this to a
do
natural close since you're drifting off over there.
Yeah, I gotta get to bed. So, my Skittle. Do you want to go first, or do you want to go second?
I can go first. I have all the stuff up here right now.
Okay.
I was in a 420 group on Facebook and just kind of looking at some stuff. I can't remember how I came across this. It was maybe hey, show me your setup, kind of what you smoking. And somebody was like, hey, cool lighter. And this guy was like, yo, I make these lighters. Check this page out. Look at this. And his name of his company is Berserk Creations. And he's going to be my Skittle for the week. Because I found him. I went over to his Instagram, was like, hey man, I don't get paid till Wednesday. I want to get some stuff from you. Like, he's like, all right, hit me up on Etsy. And I sent him a message. I sent him the pictures I wanted. And I got Rayven and I both lighters with our podcast art. And then I was like, hey honey, what's your favorite Pokemon game? Because we both love Pokemon. She's like, Platinum. Wait, do I have to pick one? I really like this other one. I'm like, pick one. She's like, okay, Platinum. And I was like, all right, cool. So I got a Pokemon Emerald lighter because it's my first game and probably still my favorite game at this point. And this man has some beautiful lighters, let me tell you. And like, he sends you pictures throughout everything, but like, he's super chill, like really awesome. Sent you like extra stuff in the bag. I really like him. He was nothing but pleasant when I talked to him about my order too. But he's over on Instagram if you want to go find him, and Berserk Creations. It's spelled really funny. It's BERZYRCCREATIONZ.
Now, I will tag these in the show notes.
They'll all be on the show notes. He's also same username, everything like that. Over on Etsy, go check him out. Some pretty cool lighters that he's, pictures of stuff he's done, and he can pretty much put anything you want on a lighter for you.
So my Skittle this week is actually Eric Lesh of Legal. He's the current something director. He's like one of the heads of the LGBT bar, and he's the one that started this podcast with I think his name's Arthur, who was originally in his position but now just teaches law. He's a law professor at NYU.
Yeah.
So it's really cool because, like, I found this podcast and I'm learning a lot of stuff. Even the older stuff, I'm still learning of court cases that are, like, while they were happening, what people were thinking, what people, were trying to do to get it to legal. Like, with the guy with the wedding cake and that whole lawsuit.
That whole thing.
So it was really cool to see that, and I really appreciate that because I learned so much more about like LGBT stuff, and when it comes to like court cases and laws and like protections and everything that are either federal or state by state. They talk about PA.
Nice.
Quite a bit because there was a case with an adoption agency out in Philly. But anyway, it's a really cool podcast. I highly suggest it. Just look for Legal. The LGBT Bar New York podcast. It's Legal. That's how I found it. Anywhere you find podcasts are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Speaking of Apple Podcasts,
are we finally on Apple Podcasts?
We are on Apple Podcasts.
Woo! Hello, Apple. Everybody over there. How are y'all? Thanks for listening.
I'm actually going to read our demographics because I thought it was really cool.
Cool demographic update.
So we are posting through Anchor, and so we have certain things that it tells us. So did I do this before?
Not on podcast, no.
Oh, okay. So 85% of our audience is from the States. 10% is from Germany, which surprised me.
Yeah. How do we get over there?
I posted this on a Reddit.
Oh, that's pretty. That's probably how we got over there. That's cool.
We're also 5% from the Philippines.
Oh, nice.
So hi guys, we are I guess internationally listened to. So
hi. Hello.
But it also breaks down the listening platform. So we're like 56% on Spotify.
Because I share the heck out of that link.
17% on web browser, 12% through Anchor itself, 12% Google Podcast, and 2% Apple Podcast. And then the rest is just through Spotify. 87% between 23 to 27, 13% is 28 to 34. 43% of our listeners are non-binary, 35% are female, 22% are male, and 0% is not specified. The last two, age and gender, are through Spotify only. So yeah, I hope you guys have been listening, liking their podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Smoking Out the Closet. And you can follow us on the Twitter I set up.
Woo! We have a Twitter.
After the last episode. I tried getting the whole thing, but you can follow us at Smoking Out Pod, POD, or you just look up Smoking Out the Closet because I put that as our Twitter account's name.
If you want to follow just me personally on Instagram, my weed Insta and kind of personality for the podcast is 420NB, the number 4, the number 2, the number 0, ENBY, all lowercase, nothing funny.
And if you want to follow my Instagram, it is High Flying Rayven. Rayven spelled with a Y, because I had to be extra when I was picking my name. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And if you have any comments, questions, you can hit us up on any of our social medias. And since we're actually on Apple, we actually can get reviews now and star ratings. So if you guys want to do that for us, we'd greatly appreciate it.
Be awesome.
So we can spread to more audiences out there via Apple. We'll see you guys next time.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Rayven. Just wanted to speak a moment while I was editing to make note of National Coming Out Day. So we record on Sundays, and we didn't keep track of the date just because work and life's been so hectic lately. So the day I'm editing this is actually National Coming Out Day, and I just want to make a note of that real quick. It's not going to be posted on that day, but I did want to make a note. So I just want to say, for those of you who came out today, those of you who have been out and just made a reminder, I hope you guys are having a wonderful experience, and I hope everything's staying safe. And if you haven't had a good time or a good experience coming out, or you've had some issues with some people, that you're safe. For those of you who aren't out yet, I hope that one day you guys can be out and be your authentic self. And I hope that, you can find happiness in life. But I just want to make a quick note of that while I'm editing. Because National Coming Out Day is a really cool holiday, and I wouldn't really say a holiday, but just a really cool day to have here in the States. So I just want to make a quick note of that. Bye!